Good afternoon, everyone. BC Richfield here, coming to you live from the beautiful Suffolk coast in the east of England. A big shout out to everybody joining this live today, as well as everybody that watches this on recording. How are we doing, everyone? Brilliant to see so many of you already in here and waiting. And as we know, give it a few minutes and the numbers will start to pump themselves up as well. So just going to take a couple of moments at the beginning here to let some more people come in. How's everybody doing? See who we've got in the chat. Good morning, everyone, where it's morning. Good afternoon, everyone, where it's afternoon, and good evening. Ladies and gents, is it possible to get a sound check from you all? Just trialing some new equipment that's been sent over. Hey, let's run those lows. Funky T, my brother, can you tell me, can you hear me okay? Is it quiet? Is it loud? Is it clear? You'll be a fan of this, but trialing out some new microphone actually that was sent to me that looks really, really cool. But obviously can look cool. Let's see what we get. Vic, you absolute beauty. How the devil are you? Crypto Gary, good afternoon. Mandatory myocarditis. God, we get some brilliant names on here. Price action looks terrible. Do you know what? It kind of does and it kind of doesn't. I know exactly what you mean and I agree with your sentiment, but let's see if we can find the positive. Sound is perfect. That's all I need to know for me to go blithering on for at least the next 30, 45 minutes. Let's see. Loads of people active in the chats today. Wonderful to see. Daniel, how you doing, my friend? Izzy or ISEE? It's perfect. Wonderful. Thank you, my friend. I thought for a minute you were talking about the price action, then I realized it was the sound. Absolutely magical. Sound is great. Crypto cool. Thank you very much. You sound like an angel. That, Vic, I'll say you one thing. I think we all know you're lying, but flattery will get you everywhere. All right. Matthew, how are you doing? Snowy Yorkshire. Oh, don't do it to me, Matt. Don't do it to me. I love Yorkshire. It's one of my favorite places. Honestly, really, really considered moving there last year. Fun enough, spend a lot of time up there in and around Whitby and stuff like that. In fact, hired a motorhome and did an epic journey through there. Just absolutely beautiful. Sounds good. Jesse, good morning to you as well, my friend. Duncan, Blockchain Metaverse C. How are we doing, my friend? Let's have a look. Bukan, hello, mate. Nice mic. Thank you very much. Yeah, full disclosure, it's a Rode, R-O-D-E. I'm completely making this up, but it sounds German. Was sent through to me. I'm absolutely in love with it. It's great because it's a proper professional condenser mic. Again, inexpensive, right? If this is something you're doing. So I used to work in the music industry many years ago. And yeah, these guys were really, really good back then. They've come on a long way, but this is perfect for me. Little travel stand. I can set it up in the home studio. So all proper soundproof. You can level it. Really, really cool. So I'm glad it's working for this one. Loud and clear. Let's go, BC. We need some wisdom. Well, I try my best for you, GGBG. We'll see how we get on. Demetra, good morning to you as well. Conde, buy now. Do you know what? This is never financial advice, by the way, but these are the levels we want to be looking to buy. And I'm going to show you exactly why. It sounds mental, but as is the nature of cryptocurrency, all right? 23, oh, wow, big delay today. Big delay today. All right, we'll look into that, mate. Might be something to do with that. Joshua, how are you doing, brother? Been a while. I hope you're well, mate. Nit, our wonderful Nit, great to see you as well. Khalid, Craigie boy, there he is. I hate it here. Our friend as well, and Rana. Yeah, by now. So let's dive in. We've got, probably half the viewers we normally have by the close, about 1,500 of you live at the moment, which is awesome to see. quick sip of tea and let's crack on. Right, I'm actually traveling at the moment. Well, I'm not traveling same time every year. It's always been the same when I've been at the Neston before. We come away to our cottage on the coast to spend a couple of weeks here with the family. There's no real breaks in the crypto industry, but I'm going to take some downtime next week, probably. But for this week, it's full on. So I've got the travel gear with me, meaning I'm missing, multiple monitors and bits and pieces. So please do be patient with me if you ask a question. I'm going to kind of move backwards and forwards between the screens and kind of see. And I will do that. Good morning. Save my port. Oh no. Well, I don't know. Are you talking about Sai as well, or are you talking about the drink? I don't know if you're meaning that because quite. Well, anyway, I won't go off topic because it'd be that. But Rana, join for the first time. Well, very much welcome. You very old follower. Awesome. I don't know if it's a quirk about my age or if you've been following for a while, but just the first time you've managed to join a live show. Either way, you're very welcome. So let's crack on, shall we? Because I want to get through this. I want to take a look at some alts. If you've got any alts you want me to take a look at, I will absolutely make some time to do so. We might not get through them all, but I think we did like 23 last week or something. So let's take a look. But let's start with Bitcoin. All right. Now, for me, it's just super, super clear. All right, and let me kind of align you with my thinking here. All right, we're going to go out to a weekly first of all. Now, when we got back below this red line, the close below here, I said the likelihood is that we're going to take this out. Right now, when we then swept this internal low here, then my theory was that we're going to make our way back to this because we took liquidity, we closed back inside. Yeah, fine. I know, look, closed inside, ran it up and then came all the way back down. It doesn't matter when you know the key levels. We're not looking to execute on this time frame. We're looking to build our picture on this time frame, our bias. Look, first of all, there is zero doubt that on a weekly scale, this thing is still mega bullish. All right. We've seen this huge expansion. It's very, 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 very natural for price to consolidate, right? I mean, look how long this consolidation was. And look, I'm not trying to scare you here and say that we're going to go into this. All right. But huge run up, price consolidates, right? You get it on the big moves down as well. Big consolidation, little pump, secondary consolidation, rip. All right. Price moves in this nature. It's just all about value, right? Sometimes it helps to not overthink these things. And I think that's what helps me in the market sometimes. In terms of that, right? So anyway, on a weekly scale, we have to accept that we're bullish, but really what I'm looking for on this level are reactions at key levels. All right. So once we swung this, by the way, for any of this information, you can go back through the Bitcoin reports that are shared with every single member of the Bird Nest. You can go through, I post them weekly on Twitter as well. For example, you can go and take a look at the last couple of weeks' reports where we've been expecting this price move. But we do also always have multiple plans when we get to the charts, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen. So for example, when we engage with this level, had we closed the body of the candle like we did with this one, then we simply look for this area to be retested, reclaimed, and then to long. Close below a key level. We're then saying, okay, price is showing price is showing weakness. It's all about liquidity. At the moment, the market seems to consider this fair value for Bitcoin, right? And that's between where we are at the moment, around the early 90s, all the way up to around 108, which was the high. So what does that mean? Well, quite simply, I've said it for a while. I think this weekly gap is a big draw on price. When we see these large, inefficient moves, these large gaps, we often see price draw back down to these areas. So for me, ideal scenario would be something like this. A flash crash here into kind of the mid 80s, reclaim of this level, and then we can get back on with this bull market. All right. Really is as simple as that. Not to be a twat about it, but I think sometimes let's not overthink it. That's where we're on the weekly. All right. I'm just going to do a time frame, flick back to the charts quickly. Sorry, to the chats, and then take a little look at some questions. All right. Following you for a while. That's awesome, Raina. Thank you very much for your patronage. Gerard Crypto, please take a look at ZIL if you have a minute, mate. Yeah, no problem, my friend. Do you know what I have done actually? Is one thing I do miss because I'm such a Luddite. Is I missed my post-it notes actually. So let me just get a little notes app up and let's make a list of these beauties, shall we? So we're going to take a look at ETH. We're going to take a look at ZIL as well. If you've got any others, guys, please do keep them coming in. Link as well, Matthew. Yeah, not a problem. Pop that one in there as well. Okay, Anthony, hello, mate. Link, please. Getting destroyed. Sad to see. Yeah, but the Link Marines will step in at some point, I think. Really, really good community over there. Old school community, battle hardened, been in many a trench with Link Marines, and they really don't mess around when the time comes. Truth will prevail. How are you doing, my friend? Good to see you on here. People calling head and shoulders on Bitcoin. Well, let's take a look. Yeah. And great to have you with us as well. Truth will prevail. Yakuza Kana, how have you been, mate? Haven't seen you in a while. I hate it here. Where is invalidation for a bear market to be confirmed? That's a brilliant question. All right. And actually, it's a pretty long way away, but it depends how you kind of look at it, really. And I'm going to cover that in a moment. Lodvig, do you have a nice short for me to hedge my long position? Yeah, let's take a look. I certainly wouldn't be shorting this here. All right. Oh, Griffain, Griffain, please. You're very welcome. Okay, let's take a look at that. Griffain. Griffain, we'll take a look at that. XLM, we can take a look at, and Kaz and Sui. Miguel, hello, mate. How you doing? XLM, Kaz and Sui. Yeah, sure. Okay, XLM, Kaz. Sui. Okay, right. So I'm just going to pop back to the other one now as well. So apologies if I missed your comments for a moment, but we're just going to dive down into the other time frame. Talking of invalidations, right now, these things really depend on how you look at the market on a weekly scale. For me, look, if we're looking at this purely based on price action, here's the last high. Yeah, technically the last low there, but I actually do prefer this one. It's slightly lower, right? Lower high. Now price is coming in to set that lower low. Right now, this isn't to put the wind up, people. I'm not saying we're going to crash into oblivion. In fact, often when the market gives you these kind of technical signals, that's when we look to act. So what do I want to see now? Let me give you a very quick technique that you can run, all right, on charts, something that's served me really well over the years. Take any swing high or swing low on a weekly or a daily chart especially, and treat that as a very key level, all right? So just to show you a couple of examples here, this swing low, yeah, we set this. What happened when price came in? So we closed below. We got that long downside wick. Little indecisive for me, but the fact we closed below still has me expecting lower prices. When we close back above, I know I'm wrong. So then I know price is chasing liquidity higher. Okay. So then when we look at other key levels, again, just going to give you a couple more examples here so you can see this. This for me remained a key level all the way to here. What happened? Price swept liquidity. Why is that a key level? Why are you picking swing highs and lows? That's where liquidity rests. That's where the stops are resting. And that's where the major players can force the market to, if they want to, or where they're ready to pounce if they do. How rich did people get when, as soon as we establish this here, yeah, as resistance, yeah, this whole area, see all those wicks coming up. There's nothing bullish about that until you close above, right? Here, for example, we didn't get the retest, but you can see price wants to run. So when you've established that here, you know, big shorts on offer. Even this one here was a good short, right? So when you're looking at these wicks, what you want to see is absorption. Buyers have stepped in here. That means this is value. Look left. Do you have a gap? As you have here, bullish gap. Do you have an order block as you have here, right? That was the consolidation, minor as it might seem, that led to that massive pump higher. If the buyers were there before, why wouldn't they be there again, right? Now, technically, it runs a little bit deeper than that, but you don't have to overthink it any more than that, in my opinion, anyway. So what does all that mean, BC? Just rattling on about highs and lows. Well, because this is what served us so well up here. Got above here, retest, we've been long. Closed below, we've been short. Swept that, step to puff, we were long. Closed below here, we were short, right? Now, on a weekly scale, you may have to wait for a couple of days for that price action to play out, but that's key. So on a weekly scale, this low means everything to me. Right? Yes, we're heading a big body candle into this, but that's what we did with this. That was a humongous body candle when before that retreated in, that was all the way up there. Look what a huge bearish candle that represents. Yeah. Downside with massive body. Then what happened? Price got shoved all the way back down here. SZ's words always echo in my head. Always remember him saying it in his lectures, right? That he used to give when I was fortunate to study under him, especially when he was active in the FX markets. And he would always say, look, bodies of the candles are where price is what price achieved. The wicks is what it tried to achieve. Yeah. So the price tried to get all the way in here, ultimately got pushed all the way back in here. That's bearish. Okay. So on a weekly scale, price has got below here. If we start closing below here, then I'm thinking we're coming down to test these inefficiencies lower. Like I said, mid-80s is a key area for me. That is pretty much, not entirely, but confluence for that. If we're looking at the 50 line here, all right, of the FVG, I think we could wick into that and then we can recover. Ultimately, if price just wicks down and gets back in this area at the end of the week, then I expect price to move higher. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at the daily quickly, and then I'm going to take a look at some more of your comments. Okay, so as we are here, let's put our daily analysis on. So where do we get all of this from? Yeah, really, this was really quite simple for me, actually. Get rid of that for a moment. So you'll see in the Bitcoin report last night, I kind of outlined all of this as well. And I put the daily chart, sorry, for context, but we did have the 4-hour analysis on there, which I'll cover in a moment. So look, there's no doubt for me, again, focusing on this high, that's that weekly high. This is what was capping the market. Look what happens when we close above, retest, deviation, retest, higher, all right? Close below, retest, lower. This gets above, so I was looking to long this level, yeah. We didn't get that. Thankfully, we didn't get any setups, so we didn't get triggers. However, if we had done, I would have just lost the trade. Then, go lower. Ultimately, shorting into this level, close below this level, retest it and away. How did we come up with these levels, or how did I come up with these levels? Well, it's really quite simple, actually. Again, basing them around key highs and lows, but just looking, look, resistance, big resistance, still resistance, found it as support, deviation, support, big price moved higher, below, rejection, so it's resistance again, deviation back below, sell off. Here, resistance, price close above, retest, long, right? Even these little longs. By the way, I have the whole family of dogs here, by the way, so if you can hear any barking, I do apologize. So now we're back here again. This is definitely not an area to short, right? Definitely not an area to short. So then all I'm doing is I'm looking at this as a range. And what I'm doing is I'm going and looking at these key wicks. And I'm saying, okay, if I anchor a line on here, can I see it offering support and resistance? It will be clearer on the 4-hour. But yeah, resistance, support all the way through here, support again here, resistance here, etc. Now, I like drawing these areas as boxes because it gives me a broader indication of where I'm looking for setups. And within those areas, I will then look for key liquidity sweeps. This midline, for example, so the midline is just the dotted line. And this, for me, this box here is where I see the key resistance coming in. Then, and please do go and check the report on the 4-hour. I said, look, sweep of this high, bearing in mind this is in a bearish gap here as well. So it's a gap high. Means it's basically a double liquidity pool. There'll be stops above here. There's an inefficiency here that price typically wants to drive into. So we see a rejection here and we're on the way down. Okay, let me just take a look at some questions quickly and maybe some other requests for charts, and then we'll get moving forward. PHA IOTA. Let's have a look. PHA IOTA. Sorry, guys, a bit slow today because it's just the one screen propped up on some antique bloody chest of drawers in a little office that I've made in this beachside cottage. But it's I'll send you a picture actually later on Twitter. It's a nice little setup, back to the old school. Who else we got with us today? Daniel, yeah, IOTA, we got that. Helgi, hi mate, love your TA. No BS, pure data, no cloud. Good choice. Thank you very much, mate. I really do appreciate that. Try to keep it simple. Life is complex enough. TIA, agree, Crypto Wiz. I think it does look like it's at the bottom of a range. So let's get some TA on that as well. Son of a Greek, brilliant name, love it. Great to see you. Very dear friend of mine and a wonderful person who works with us over at the Bird Nest. Crypto Viking is in Greece and loves it immensely. Our heater, Homestead, apologies if I've murdered that. IQ. Oh, IQ AI. Is that the ticker? Is it? I'll write this down. IQ AI. Let's take a look. Let's have a look. Conde, until the 20th, the market will be quite volatile. And after that, only God knows. Yeah, so looking towards the inauguration, right? I'm going to cover a little bit of macro analysis for you guys as well in a minute, some things that I find really interesting. Philip, yeah, of course, mate, or Philippe. AVAX, of course. AVAX actually is my favorite asset in the world to intraday trade. Been on a few leaderboards over the years with AVAX for trading that, and I just love it. It's one of the cleanest assets. brilliant token, fantastic team. And the fact that it trades so clean, especially on a lower time frame, tells me that there's really, really serious players involved in that. Anthony Wellman, one question. Where can I send you a photo with a question to show you what I mean? Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the capacity to do that on the live show, but you can certainly contact me through the Bird Nest. You can find all the information on how to do that in the description, or hit me up on Twitter, mate. Find one of my posts, pop me a comment, pop that in there, and I'll take the chart and I'll get back to you. Zane, how you doing, mate? Good to hear from you. Hey, bro, how are you? What's your thoughts of the last monthly candle on top? Let's take a look. All right, and then Solana and ZK. Right, so we're building up quite a list. So, and then ZK. We do like a challenge, though, don't we? We do like a challenge. All right, so let's pop back to Bitcoin very quickly. I'm going to do the 4 hour, and then remind me I will pop back to the monthly as well. It's a really good idea to look at that. So this, for me, is where it just becomes really super clean here. All right, this is where you can really kind of see the key kind of support and resistance area. Especially, let's just focus on the recent PA here. All right, look. You see the resistance support, etc. Just go and give this, the technique a try if you want to. I'm sure you've got your own things that you do as well, so you definitely don't have to listen to me. But if it is of interest, I've always found it very helpful. So this was the low, right? That was the low that we bought on the weekly scale. Again, look, what do? We see price come in, sweep the low, close above it. We expect expansion higher, and we can just target these immediate highs, yeah? Or if we're shorting, then the immediate lows. They also give us a really, really good indication of what's about to happen, right? For example, on this short here, yeah, price closed below, price pulls back to this area and ultimately gives us the short lower down. This, in fact, was the move that I was discussing on the 4 hour yesterday on the Bitcoin report. You can go and check that out on Twitter as well, which was the sweep of this high. That wick there should really have you scrambling for short positions lower. All right, no, I didn't take any. It was silly o'clock in the morning for me, but we've seen a lot of Asia session sell-offs recently. So what's the play here? Well, as long as we hold this level, I'm really good with it. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we kind of slipped underneath the bottom of the box here, but that's on a 4 hour scale, right? We need to always remember our time frames. Price can easily recover this on the daily, as it did here, for example. And that's what we're looking for again. Ultimately, if this is value for Bitcoin at this price, then buyers should step in here. If they don't, then the chances are it's not considered value and price will be heading lower. So this is a really big, strong move down. Now we need to take a look at equity markets, which we'll do in a minute as well before we cover the alts. Hopefully we get all that tied away before 30:30, and then we're just going to go on an alt charting marathon. Okay. So what do I want to see here? Well, I'll tell you really what I'm looking for on a 4 hour scale. This low here, right? I don't really like how we're getting this. Basically, what's happening at the moment is we're sandwiched between this low, yeah, and it's a key low that was, prices broken below it, now retested it and sold off. Get back above this, I'm back looking for longs. All right. I do think we could be in for a bit of chop for a while between this kind of area, certainly until the inauguration, which we're hoping becomes this kind of, it doesn't become this buy the rumor, sell the news. At the moment, it's kind of looking a little bit like the opposite. It's looking like a sell the rumor, buy the news situation. We hope, all right, we hope. And hope is never a very good strategy in these markets. So while we're looking at that, I'm very interested in this level here. We've had a retest. And then I think price could really, really start to move up from here. Another key area that I'm interested in on an intraday basis is this 92,237. Again, it was a very key wick low. Why? We reacted here at this bullish gap, had this huge kind of abnormal wick. Price ultimately then, buyers stepped in here to push this higher. Price consolidated, those buyers got exhausted, really then didn't see that it was going to kind of come above here. What happens? Price gets pushed up just enough into some key levels to take the liquidity needed so that, the major accounts can then fill their positions to the downside. That's when you see these really big moves that are very, very difficult to get involved in unless, you're involved, in this case, higher up or in this case, lower down. Get it back above both of these, and I think we're going to push up into this kind of area here. We have an untapped low here as well as here. So I think between these two areas and this one here are where we play our intraday ranges. Now, I know that's not overly helpful for a lot of you because you'll be higher time frame traders. So what I would focus on is price holding this level on the H4, but especially on the daily. Yeah. Then you can kind of step in onto a lower time frame and you can look for those setups. So let's do this very quickly, shall we, for our friend who asked about the monthly. Yeah. Last month's candle should have told you a lot. Yeah. December's candle. December's a bit of a tricky month, but like I said, when we close December's candle here, we've left this really big monthly gap. So for those of you that don't know, I think you can probably find something on my profile over there about gaps, or fair value gaps if you've studied sort of ICT. And you know, because the reason I mentioned ICT quite a lot is I was part of his original core mentorship intake and learned a lot from the guy. Actually, I'm not an ICT purist. I'm a long, long way before I've studied or been fortunate to study under some of the very best price action traders. I would probably attribute Trader SC, Trader Dante, Larry Williams, people like that with the majority of my education. But I have been through his courses. I have studied underneath Michael. I think he's got a very, very good handle on price action. I also think he's a very, very good salesman. I think the techniques work, but trust me, it's not reinventing the wheel. They're just price action concepts, right? They're just packaged very, very well. But I think he's brought that to the masses. So huge respect to him, right? This he will call fair value gap. Traditional market traders will just call them gaps, right? But basically, these are draws on liquidity. Now, when we came up here, we took this weekly high. Now, when you're on a monthly or a weekly, these really high time frames, then the prior month's highs and lows really do mean a lot, all right? Just to give you an example here, look at this month's low. Oh, if I get the right one up, yeah, this month's low here. Yeah, not perfect, but look at just price just pumping liquidity. Then it swept this low. Then it climbed back above. You get the beautiful pin bar candle followed by another pin bar candle. Price tells you that it wants to move higher. When we got this inverse hammer or pin bar candle with a short nose, shooting star as well, you kind of similar to that, then price is telling you that you've got absorption above here. That means price just isn't considered value there. It's pushed back down below this level. Often price then heads for the previous area that it was considered value, which are often consolidations. All right. So you've got willing buyers in here, whether you're looking at order blocks, whether you're looking at prior consolidations, etc. That is a very, very key area. I'm not saying price is coming all the way down to the kind of 73k region, but I'm telling you right now that it can. So that's what we want to watch. Anyway, I think we can just tickle into this gap. Again, I like the idea that when we overlay the weekly bias with the monthly here, if we take that kind of 50% area, we're at early 80Ks. What are we targeting on the weekly and the daily? Mid 80s. So you can see there's confluence here, but it doesn't mean that we have to do it, right? Ultimately, price could reclaim this level. And I tell you where I'll get super bullish on a monthly scale is if the monthly candle's up here somewhere. Then I think, we do something like, obviously not like that. But if we have this level here, I could easily see price doing something like this and, really, really going for it. Obviously, it's a fairly long way off that, but hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of an indication of what we're looking at there on the monthly scale. All right. So now we're going to kind of just take a look at traditional markets as well. And then we're going to dive into alts, right? Because there's a lot of macro data that I've been looking at for a while now that we've been kind of dissecting at the nest as well. So I want to kind of get you guys aligned with that. Anthony, look, the question is, in TradingView, they have volume delta. If you're going to use it to search bull run, how you use it, what are your thoughts on this tool, volume delta? I don't use it, unfortunately, mate. What I do use is I use a little bit of volume profiling. I've actually been studying that a lot deeper this year. One of my goals to kind of get better at volume. So what I would say though is that Razoon, who's one of my trading team or one of the trading team under the nest that I'm very fortunate to be in charge of, or not in charge of, a very independent team, but I head that desk up. He's incredibly good with volume, really, really super bright young dude. And yeah, I think if you've got that, mate, if you get yourself into the nest and ask some questions, I'm sure he'll be happy to help. If not, again, if you're not part of a trading community, yes, we are a paid trading community. We're incredibly cheap for what we provide. We have a full-time professional proven trading team, courses, education. We develop dozens of professional traders every single year, from proprietary traders all the way through to people that are doing it off of their own volition. But what I would say is if you have that, then come in with us and absolutely just ask as many questions as you can, really put them to work. If not, you can find some really good free resources. I'm not sure if we have anything on the volume delta, mate, but on our website under the infographics section and under resources, there's some brilliant stuff on there. But I would then kind of look to kind of search on YouTube, bits and pieces like that, find the people that are the very best. I would imagine probably 52 skew. He's unbelievable with the volume stuff. So I'm pretty sure it's thingy, but I would go into it. I know affiliation, don't know the guy, but I think he's fantastic whenever I've seen him. I'm pretty sure that's it. And obviously, you are the Anthony from the Nest. Oh, brilliant. Then get up Raz's backside and say, Raz, teach me about this. And you know what? If he's not really, really well versed in it, we will do a deep dive into it for you. All right, mate? Michael Maguire. Hello, mate. How are you doing? Perfect. All right. So one other thing I just want to show on here was this. So, you know, just asking about that there. And again, look, I don't do this very often because I really don't consider myself as well versed as others in this, right? Because again, like with volume profiling, you know, some people will take it from this low, other people will take it from this low, etc. For me, I'm looking to take it at the start of a consolidation. So from here to here, this was the leg down before we then broke structure and we started to consolidate. I think, you know, when we look at this on the 4 hour on the volume profile, it looks really, really clean how we've seen over this time, how when price steps back in the range, we get those expansions, right? Again, this is something that Razoon has been working with me on recently. Brilliant user of volume, right? Support here, deviation, retest, long. This had a lot of people longing here, and I would have been absolutely more than happy to do that. The key thing for me here is if we step back with inside the value area low, which is this blue line here, this basically creates a volume-based range for you. All right, that's what it's doing here. It's showing you with volume area, value area high and low. So as you're looking up here, you're looking for these clean breaks, retest long, close back within, look for your resistance short, deviation short. So we want to see price back in this area here as well, above kind of the 93,318 area. At the moment, what I'm quite looking forward to seeing how this plays out is this level here that we're at. All right. And again, that's our weekly low. All right. So if we put our higher time frame levels back on, we can see we've already got that charted. But with a naked chart just based on volume, you can see how these things overlay. So good reaction here, step back in the value area, and I think we could easily push up towards the point of control. Another dude who I'm very fortunate to become, you know, friends with over recent times, Follis. Again, magnificent trade, no association on a professional level other than the fact, you know, I'm a big admirer of his very, very good user of volume as well. And I'm sure he's probably looking at something similar, if not a little bit more advanced. So with that aside, let's take a look at the economic data very quickly. And there we go. Mo Salah. Brilliant. I love it if there's a play on Mo Salah. Still one of the best players I've ever seen play. Bro, according to my technical analysis, I see BTC to 65k. Correct me, please. All right. Well, I think we did just kind of cover this, right? But just very quickly, what I would say is I think 65k is all the way down here. Maybe you're looking at this as some kind of head and shoulders. You know, again, I'm not really a pattern trader here. It doesn't look clean enough for me. If you want really amazing pattern traders, I would definitely take a look at people like Axel Kaibar. Maybe people are, it's very ugly if they are. I don't see it personally. Maybe people are looking at something like this. Yeah. I mean, look, I think the problem with these kind of things sometimes is that what are you actually including in this? There was a very clean head and shoulders recently, actually, that I saw someone post that I agree with. But again, ultimately, what you're looking for are these kind of key levels then to hold. Yeah, because the point is that if you break the neckline of the head and shoulders pattern, then you're looking for, I believe, the length of the head and shoulders pattern to be projected to the downside. So if we looked at this from, say, high to low, again, this is real, as we would say in England, back of a fag packet stuff. I think that's probably maybe in and around where you're getting that prediction from, mate. Might even be that it's, you know, from the low of the neckline here. Very difficult to project price, I think, to that level of accuracy. When you're dealing with those kind of drops, I would kind of personally focus on dealing with this more level to level, but I definitely wouldn't be shorting here. That's what I would say. So, brilliant. What unbelievable Aldo, another brilliant name, because we're just about to dive into this. All right. So first thing I want to share with you guys is let's take a look at our economic data for the week ahead. Yeah. So let's give this a little. There's probably so many people on Forex Factory at the moment. It really is looking a little bit slow. Hopefully you guys have got that nice and clear. Lovely. Yeah, there we go. So benign Monday, as we can see here, January the 13th. We've not got any economic data washing through here. We've got a huge week of data, though. We've got core PPI and core PPI month on month. All right. So sorry, core PPI month on month and PPI month on month. These really have the ability. We then move into Wednesday. We've got CP price index. This is telling us the hurt that people are feeling in real time. You know, people need money in their pockets to be able to invest. A larger group of retail investors has a lot of power in these markets, right? Look at what happened in COVID. Look at what happens in times of quantitative easing when money printers come on. Now, we need to look at what they're doing in China as well at the moment. Their economy is a little bit in trouble. But they are wearing up the money printers in a big way, right? They've also had a lot of legalization towards cryptocurrency purchasing, etc. Recently, it feels like that, combined with Trump's inauguration and the fact that we just magically found these kind of, you know, bearish medium time frame market conditions as we head into that, just seems like the perfect storm to get everybody to say, do you know what, crypto's a scam. I've lost loads of money. I've over leveraged again, blah, blah, blah. I've done all the things I know I shouldn't do just for the market to flush out. You sell everything at a loss, the whole market recovers and rips to the moon. It happens all the time. It's easy to say, difficult to execute. But, you know, in these kind of market conditions, I'm not using leverage. I'm very much looking to build my spot bags. All right. Now we move into Thursday here. And again, focuses on the US markets. We've got core retail sales. All right. This is really big because we've had some really good retail sales recently, right? 0.2% was the previous. They've upped that to 0.5. So they're expecting good retail numbers to come in. If that comes in lower, that could show that there's a bit of a squeeze. Now that's core retail sales, but actual retail sales month on month, we can see they're revising that down. So what does that mean? Now the great thing, love this when when you're trying to educate people about this, and this is one of the things I love about Forex Factory, just click on the little folder here and it tells you through here, changing the total value of sales at the retail level. That's the key caveat, excluding automobiles. Yeah. So when you include automobiles, the picture looks a lot worse. And, then you've got to factor in how much of a manufacturer of automobiles is the US. It's still fairly far up there, right? I know, obviously, since the dark days of Detroit, which I really feel for. I've got one of my very dear and one of my oldest friends lives in Detroit. But, you need to factor that in. Now, unemployment claims is an interesting one because 201 was the previous, which I believe was actually positive, right? So less than they thought. You want this number to be down. 210,000. So they think there's going to be more unemployment claims. Again, all kind of really sat on the edge of that precipice of driving the market a little bit lower. So let's go back to the chart for a minute, and we're just going to cover off. Hang on a moment. Make sure to change screens for you. The amount of times I do this is unbelievable. There we go. Awesome. So let's take a look what we've got here. Now we're back on the chart, but what I want to do is I want to show you a couple of key things. Right, first of all, Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance here is back above key support resistance level. While this moves higher, alts are going to get a little bit smashed. All right, same way, check out your ETH BTC chart. We can see the total chart is just smashing into oblivion. We need this to be bullish, right? Total 2, total 3, everything just looking really weak, which means that alts are going to be exposed to the more brutal side of the sell-off. Okay, now back to the traditional market outlook. This is what is really leading to price have a lot of issues at the moment, and this is this ridiculously strong dollar. This is a range that we've had in the dollar for a long, long time, right? Served us incredibly well across traditional markets and since, moving into cryptocurrencies kind of 3-4 years ago. I say moving in, was in the market before that, but for the bird nest. And, we're above this range now. Dollar's looking strong. Economic data coming through has been very, very good for the dollar at the moment. Trump coming into power is good for the dollar. While conditions are strong for the dollar, we don't want to just look at that. This is the DXY, by the way, which is the dollar index. That's the dollar weighted against a basket of other currencies that's heavier weighted towards the euro. Now, as we wash that data through, we then want to look at bond markets. And the yields on these, we're approaching 5%, which is ridiculous. This means, think of it like this. So this is buying US government debt. That's what bonds are. So if you're an investor, you have a large fund. If you're getting almost 5% at the moment, 4.5 and 4.7 here, respectively, on the 10s and on the 2s, This is a really safe haven to put some of your cash. Yeah. You can hedge exposure to risk. You can look at this and getting a really good return. You're basically fixing it onto inflation in and thereabouts. So you're stabilizing your portfolio. Whilst bonds are this attractive, can be quite a difficult environment for risk to catch a bid, actually. So then we want to look at things like the NASDAQ, right? That was a good squiggle, wasn't it? That worked out well. But what we want to look at is, risk markets are selling off quite aggressively at the moment. These things need to bottom out as well. It's actually not the cleanest. I mean, because we've just had these super normal run-ups, every correction here has been for buying. We never really shifted structure aggressively. We did here, we climbed back above, and then since then it's just been mooning. But here, mid-December is where we started to break down. When we lost these levels, we now need to start reclaiming some key highs. All right. So for me, while risk market, and these are the NASDAQ's very heavily technology weighted. All right. And then we look at the S&P 500 as well. We're seeing the big sell-offs in here. Forgive all this just test data that's been done. So the market doesn't look good for risk at the moment, right? But focusing on what we know and what we can control, we're at key support here. Right. At the moment, the market's really kind of bleeding down below it. But what this is going to do, this is just going to encourage people to short this. Right. And that's just ridiculous. People will just short that and then you're done. Right. I just think people are going to get trapped here. Let's just have a look here. Anyway, so macro conditions for me aren't particularly good for risk assets at the moment. Does that mean I'm shorting anything? Absolutely not. Ultimately what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build a good picture of what things look like on the macro. I also rely on some very, very good macro analysts for that. I just kind of stay in my lane in that respect. I'm looking for what I've done in my career, which is looking at the bond markets, looking at the dollar index, looking at where strength and weakness lies, looking at, CPI, PPI, what do people have in their pockets to invest? What are the major funds doing? Where's the noise coming from? And then also looking at sentiment. All right. So then we look at this. So Michael Zingerman, do you think that breaking of the head and shoulders pattern will take Bitcoin below 80K? If you're somebody that follows those patterns, then yeah, it certainly would. If you break a neckline on the head and shoulders, then you're looking for a big projection downwards. Not something I do personally. Crypto Lance, it's Axel Kaibar. Please don't hate me if I spell your name wrong, Axel, but that would be it. CMT level 3, wonderful human being, always comes on to our shows for Congress. He was on there again this year. So go and take a look back through our live shows on the YouTube channel and go and look at the Congress channel. And you'll notice that there's an interview there with Axel when he runs through all of his pattern trading. So he was a student or worked alongside probably the greatest pattern trader of probably ever on the markets, and then took up his research and then took it to whole new levels. He knows the percentage chance of breakdowns, breakouts from all these different patterns, and that his data sets are absolutely astonishing. He's the guy you want to be learning from, right, in terms of patterns. Let's take a look. What else was that? So what was the name? Yeah, so we got that. Mo Salah, Solana. Yep, going to take a look at Solana in a minute. Gary Network. Yeah, of course, Disclosure Crypto. Can you tell me the ticker, though, please? So I can search for it. Man, I tend to think once Trump gets in, things may stabilize. I really hope so. Yeah, I mean, look, Trump's very pro-crypto, right? Elon's making a lot of noise. I mean, look, there's a lot of bullshit out there as well. Elon's one of those people, as the same with Trump. They're not probably particularly good human beings in truth, but they are good for the economy. So let's see how that runs through. Yeah, it's Axel Kaibar, my friend. Mihai. If you take a look at that on there, mate, Axel Kai, again, I might have murdered his name. Apologies if I do, but take a search for him on Twitter. You'll see he's a guy, kind of stubbly beard. You'll see him on there, a lot of followers. CMT, Chartered Market Technician level 3. So a really great person to go and learn from. Another week of BS, and then maybe we get a second Trump pump. Exactly, mate, exactly. And you're very welcome, Mihai. So, okay, well, we've got about 5,200 people live at the moment. So just a little note to say a big thank you to all of you for tuning in. Really, really do appreciate it. If you are watching this through YouTube, which I'm sure you might be, you might not be, just to let you know, I'm not actually CryptoBird, because I know a lot of you are going to be watching through his account. He's the owner and founder of the Bird Nest. I'm BC Richfield. I'm the head of the trading team. If you do get the opportunity, I don't ask this a lot, please do come along and give me a follow on Twitter. I post a lot of this analysis every single day, right? And, I really do, our mission really is to help people in these markets. So, or certainly share our experiences. Ultimately, the more followers I have, the broader the reach, the more I can kind of bring what I hope or what I know over years and years of studying the people we work with is at least real market data and analysis coming from people that are professional traders, and that's their only source of income. So if you can give me a follow, fantastic. But also come along and make sure you're checking out stuff at the Bird Nest. What if we're missing something? What if the pump already happened in November after the election? Do you know what? I've asked myself that same question, MJ. And in which case, often when you're stepping into bear markets, you don't know until it's too late. That's why it's really, really important to exercise good risk management. Right now, I don't want to preach about this. It's the unsexy side of trading that nobody wants to hear about, but it's arguably the most important. If you're securing your positions in your stocks, I was talking to Just Pitt, become a really good friend of mine, exceptional trader, wonderful trader, great investor. Him and I were really deep in RAI. Neither of us took profit when it was up at $14. We've been in it since $4. And we're just looking to accumulate on the way down. Now we're looking there and we're saying, actually, do you know what? Probably let ourselves get a little bit ahead of that. You know, we're probably a bit too headstrong in that with the kind of investment levels that we've got in there. And we didn't take profit. And ultimately, that's cost us a lot of money to this point. But I do think it will recover. I have bought some more. I'm going to buy some more. Again, not financial advice. Please do it. But we'll check that out as well if we have time. But we're probably going to run about 10, 15 minutes over on this one, guys. I'm happy to give that extra time. We're going to look at ETH, ZIL, Link, Griffin, XLM, KAS, SUI, PHA, IOTA, TIA, IQA, AVAX, SOL, ZK, and RAI. Now, I'm going to rip through these as quickly as I can, guys. So I'm probably not going to have much time to look at your comments. So if I do miss anything, I do apologize. I'll maybe try and do 4 or 5 and then flick back after we've done that. So very quickly, we're going to focus on the higher time frames here as well. Let's take a look at ETH. Right, I mean, key level here coming in for ETH. This was a tricky one for me because we've got the low here. We can see we've broken out above this. We've come back down into this key level. Then from here, it all becomes a little bit convoluted because we have this consolidation here above a large higher time frame weekly gap. Off the back of that, we could easily see a reaction here and price ping back above. So this is the area I'm watching. In fact, actually, the real kind of key area for me here, if I just look back, just see if we've got anything more here. There's probably this at the moment. Key wick here that led to a big bounce. We lost this level, never retested it. Again, we showed it very little respect here until we showed it as support. So really, you know, you don't have to draw these things that far back. I do just like if there's a little bit of confluence, but actually this is what I'm looking at. All the wicks that came into here and the fact we've got a high time frame gap plus this inefficiency. Again, this is the area I want to see hold. I want to see price recover that. This for me was the break above, below, resistance, break above, retested this as support all the way through here. We've now lost this or are in the process of losing it on the daily. So again, we're also within a weekly order block here. I'll show you that very quickly. Yeah. So down close candle before the pump up. We've seen it support once. We're now driving a lot deeper into this, right? So I do think the likelihood, as I said before, of us reaching this weekly gap is a lot higher, right? So on the 4 hour, very similar, really. I need to start seeing some strong reactions here. We've shown that absolutely no respect, which does surprise me, which means that this here, 2 scenarios, right? One, we come and run these lows first, in which case I'm then looking for price to bounce back, first of all, to this level. If we don't run these lows first, or if we run some of them, when we get back to this level, I'm looking for this to retest and sell off. And I'll tell you why. Because it showed zero respect. Look at the bounce that we got from here. Price came in, caught this gap, and then we just had this massive bounce higher. Why didn't we bounce again here? If there was the reaction there from the bulls that stepped in and caused that resurgence, that is showing it a great lack of respect, which means we're probably diving a little bit deeper. So again, let's wait for some reclaims here, see if we get some reactions on the low time frames. What am I looking for? Whether you be what time frame trader you are, when price comes into a key level, this is what I'm looking for. All right. So price to come down. Yeah. So let's imagine we've got a key level here, right? So let's say that's a daily level or a weekly level. Price to come in. We want to see a sweep of that level. Price recover this. And then I want to see the high that led to the low being swept. Yeah. I want to see price back above that here. Yeah. And then you can look to be a buyer in and around this area. Why? Because you've got really clear invalidation below that low, which is where you know that you're wrong. Okay, so that's where we are on ETH, really. I mean, look, a lot of these are going to look similar, but we are just going to absolutely smash through them. So ETH, we're going to take a look at ZIL next. Going to focus on the spot charts today, guys, as well, so that we've got it. Okay, don't mind ZIL here, actually. Just looking at this. What else have we got here? Again, probably a little bit of historical here as well. Yeah. So, a little bit of support here, key resistance through this area. What happened? Came in resistance here, broke above, held this level, big pump, decent pump here. We're now back here. So, again, really simple here, actually, on ZIL. If I'm looking at this on the higher time frames, if I've got belief in this project from a fundamental perspective as well, I'm probably buying some here in truth, like adding to a spot bag. This internal low will tell us a lot. It's combined with this internal low as well. And at the moment, price isn't really showing either a lot of respect. But as long as we hold this, ideal scenario here, where would I really kind of look for, I think, reclaim of this? Yeah, to get back in here or above it. Something like this. All right, now this could just be one big daily close candle that comes above it, right? It doesn't have to look staggered like this, but that's the kind of key idea here with ZIL. Really fast move down here, meaning these areas can also get retraced very quickly. All right. Yeah. So look, fast, inefficient move up here and here, boom, right? Straight back down through it in the same way that we see it, with the opposite inefficient move, fast up, fast down. And it's the same the other way as well. So while we've got this fast move down, we really want to see these reactions at key levels. On the 4 hour, what I don't like is until we get back above this area, I'm not really interested. There are a few areas that I am interested. It's this low. Yeah. Or we get back above here and then we look to do something like that. Okay. So back above here, this low here, this is the key area to hold this support level. That's where I'm going to look to be active. Like I said, spot bags, probably happy to just DCA in down a little bit lower here if I'm interested in ZIL for a longer term hold. As it stands, no plays for me until we get back above this level here, which is around 0.01989. Let's take a look at Link next. Link Marines. Where are our Link Marines at? Let's take a look here. Get rid of all of this jazz. Right, weekly here for Link. What are we doing? Good level here again. Look. So I think I was doing this as an example last week of how you can just take price onto a key low. So we take that one. Why that one and why not that one? We'll try the other one first and look at the data. Those lows are left untapped. They led to big moves. So I'm then saying, okay, well, that's the key low. Why? Because that was the deviation. That was the recovery. That was the retest. That was the pump. That was the close. That was the retest. That was the dump. Yeah, that was the close above. That was the retest. This whole area of support. So then I can take a box and I can say, okay, well, if I encapsulate the wicks as well, and I'm looking down to here, there is my SR. All right. Support, resistance, resistance, support, 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 resistance, resistance, back above, and then support here. All right. So that's the kind of area I'm looking for. I know that's not overly prevalent at the moment, but always a good idea to have those areas in there because that's an area that I'm really interested in being a buyer should we get down there. I'm not saying that we are. This is an interesting one here as well, right? Because we look like we've kind of just lost this a little bit, or we're certainly in the process of losing it. Probably bring that up to include these wicks here. Yeah, again, here, look, minor here. But when you draw those things in often, like I say, when you move back, you see that they have confluence elsewhere as well. But I'm very much interested in recency and price action, unlike a lot of traders, because look, this is where the buyers were before. Buyers stepped in again here. I just don't want to make these areas too big, right? Yes, we did have buyers step in here, so you should probably include those. That's why I like it as an area, because then, look, at the end of the day, I'm not looking to short this area. That's the key thing. Get back below it, close below it, where we've not had any candle closes so far in this area, going all the way back to November. Then that's when I might say, okay, price could be coming down to revisit some of these lows in here. So what does that mean? Well, actually, this here is a key low. So on a weekly scale, on a daily scale, I want to see price close back above that. That level is 1914. If we close below here or even lower, really do think these kind of areas in here could come into play. I quite like these equal lows, actually. Just label them up very quickly. Yeah, so that's that low there and that low there, equal lows, key liquidity pool, both sat with inside this untested bullish gap. And we have this beauty here as well, which we're going to do in red. So this area for me now has huge confluence. equal lows, key liquidity pool. Untapped key high. Why? Because when price broke above that, it never retested, and then we had this huge move off the back of it. So that area there is where I would look to bid should I get some setup. So that's in and around about $16 to $16.11. All right. So hold below here. This becomes the initial target again. Start holding below here, and then we start bringing this into play. So we're going to look at it level to level on a 4-hour scale. Let's have a look where we are. Again, like a lot of things, fast, inefficient move lower. Want to see price back above here. That's all I can say, really. We have kind of run some lows here. So let's take a look and see if we're getting, equal lows here. So that's interesting. Check these as well, guys. I really am trying to get through a lot of charts on the fly. They might not be equal. In fact, they're not. That one was run. So that's fine. So let's take a look at this. Again, I don't want to insult price here on Link. It's a little bit of a nothing low. Yeah, and it's definitely not an equal low. So let's change that to a sweep. These lows here as well. Why am I calling that a nothing low? It's not a nothing low. It's a key low because price ran that first and then really came up. But it's kind of internal to other lows. I think down here is a key area around 1748. But what do I want to see? Well, this is going to tell us a lot, this level, because what should happen here, if it really is bearish, is this should reject price. Why? Because strong buyers were in here before. If those buyers aren't willing to step back in here, chances are they're going to flip and they're going to go the other way. So price needs to start closing above here. Then we trade it up to this level. We then want to see price establish itself back above this level. Yeah, so let's imagine that we've got price above this level as we want. Yeah, look for that kind of pullback. Ideally a retest, but you don't have to get it. You just want to look for that break. Then we'd want to get above this level, retest this level and move up. These are just the key flip of liquidity on these scales. So let's leave them on there. And then when we review Link again on Wednesday, we'll see what we're getting. But I really like Link. So, I'm happy to accumulate this on the way down. Great community, really, really strong presence. So let's take a look. Let me just have a little look at the comments quickly before we move across. Crypto Lance, you're very welcome, mate. Disclosure, Gary, that's, I say, it's a Gari. We'll look at that one at the end as well, mate. Thank you for confirming. You already follow him, Crypto Lance, legend, mate. Yeah, he's a fantastic trader. His data sets are unbelievable. Manco, alt's dead. Yeah, been dead. Not dead, but they're certainly down. NBA Young Believe. How you doing, my friend? Apologies, little cheeky burp for you all there. Dang, I'm too late. Good afternoon from Nigeria. Hello, my friend. Love Africa. Spent a lot of time in and around Central, West, and East Africa, actually. Some of my favourite places to be. Let's have a look what we got. The market is having a healthy correction. I love that optimistic outlook, my friend, and I agree. I think, corrections are healthy, especially once you zoom out. Grivaldo, just 2 months ago, people thought they were late entering this all season. Now it feels like it hasn't even started. Yeah, exactly. I think you always get that kind of feeling. They're just really designed to just really grind into you and make you kind of be an early buyer and rip your liquidity away. Markets like this really tend to move, especially for alts. When we see people really lose belief. But a really good chart is, ETH BTC to take a look at. You want to see that, as well as BTC dominance coming down. You want to see the total charts moving their way up. You want to see ETH starting to gain some ground on BTC. That's when you can see that as you go. So, Ondo and Beck. Grivaldo, I'm really going to try. I got about 15 minutes left, and then we run 15 minutes over, but I will add them onto the end. Ondo as well. Let's have a look. See how many we can get through. Be a big challenge, but I'll try it for you, mate. Watch out, Grivaldo. Aldo, massive unlock incoming. By the new moon on the 29th. Cactus, can't argue with you, mate. I've seen people make money on moon cycles. I've seen people make money on crazy stuff. I once watched an octopus pick more winners for the World Cup, I think it was, than any of the top sports bettors in the world. So anything is happened. Stay here and watch till the NBC. You should love West. I love all of Africa, my friend. You're right. I did forget West, which is absolutely beautiful. Kenya, actually, I do have a very soft spot. I have a Kenya, Gambia and stuff like that as well. Spent a lot of time over there and really, really, really just some of the most wonderful people in Africa. So where were we? Anyway, really need to start moving. So Griffin, Griffain. Here we go. what have we got going on with this? I'm really going to start ripping through these now. Okay, what do I like? What don't I like? Well, actually, this level here is pretty key. Again, untested higher, close above, never came into there. If the buyers are here, this is where we want to see them step in. We're also in this bullish gap. If we fail with that, these gaps could hold price, but actually, I think, 0.1943 then comes into play. I know I might be going a little bit fast here, guys, and I appreciate that there might be a little bit of a lag on the stream, but these are all then made available live, I think, almost immediately afterwards on YouTube. So if you do have any interest in these tokens and it is moving a bit quickly for you, you can always go back and take a look. Okay, so just to show you very quickly what we were looking for here when we identify this as kind of a key area. Yeah, this was a daily high over here. So what did we want to see? Let's look at the daily close above, then look at the retest here, which happened on the 2nd. When you take that down onto a lower time frame, you're then looking for the 2nd, which would be here. What a beautiful buying opportunity that was. Yeah, so ignore the noise, focus on the high time frame levels. That's what we're doing here. We have this high, price close above, no retest. We now want to see price back above this, yeah, to show some strength and move up and attack the liquidity that's resting over here. Really, even in terms of swing lows, we're still all the way down here, actually, when it comes to that. Just looking at this expansion leg higher as well. Why? Because we took liquidity from this area under here. Price then expanded higher. We held structure up to here till we broke it and came back down. So if I'm looking at this, we're kind of below. Again, golden pocket sat bang on this high. So I think we want to be reclaiming the golden pocket area here to move higher. And I think Graphane looks really good, actually, if we get back above that. You can see it running these highs pretty quickly. There's a lot of liquidity resting there. XLM. So we can see we're looking at a similar situation here. Previously on XLM came into this key level, which I believe will be weekly as well. And then look, held this. Once we continue to hold this level, get rid of that for a moment, this just to make it nice and clean. Then look what happened. When we closed below it here, price retested and ultimately sold off. I was very surprised to see price not come back down for here, but you can see that with shitcoins quite often, in truth, right? But again, all we do is we just monitor the key lows. That was the key low. Why? Because when we zoom in here, we can see price close below here, retested, sold off. Yeah, unfortunately, we then got this gigantic close above it. But at that point, you can be pretty confident that price is looking to move a little bit higher. And again, that was a level here. What happened? Support, close underneath, resistance, support again, now coming back underneath this level, which I don't really like. I think that's showing a lot of weakness there. So I think we probably flush out these lows here. On a daily scale, that's at 0.3867. Like to see us flush those out, hold this bullish gap, recover this level, and then I think we push up from there. 4 hour, I think, supports that, although there's a little cheeky internal low here that's holding price at the moment. So, as long as we hold above this on an intraday basis, we start closing that on the 4 hour, this thing could look to push up into these inefficiencies. If we start closing above these gaps, then we could be looking at an early reversal here on XLM. Yeah, simples, right? So what are we on to next? CAS. Daily. Okay, wow. So look, immediately the first thing that strikes me here is these pockets of downside wicks, right? Absorption, consolidation that led to a gigantic pump, or that's the consolidation really in there. So we can see that there's confluence in and around this area. Even if I'm looking all the way back here and saying, okay, where was the key pivot point for price here? Well, for me, it was this high. Oh, if I draw it properly, there we go. Yeah. Resistance, strong close above, support all the way through here. And then look at this move from price. Deviation, retest, perfect, just to the cent. And again, we just look to kind of draw this across, really try and include the wicks. I don't want to go too crazy. Something like that, I would say, encapsulates these wicks. Because look, we saw really big moves off these areas. This is where the buyers were. Extrapolate that across, or extend it. Extrapolate's a bit of a wanky word. Yeah, support here. So really like this area for some bids on KAS 0.0991. Are we definitely going down there? I don't really know. You never really know with price. That's the absolute truth of it, right? So we're looking at this here. What's kind of propping the market up, or as SC would say, what's capping the market to the downside here is this low. if we hold back above this low here as 0.1101, I think we could at least move up to this high at 0.1197. But I really do like this area down here, I have to say. What were we looking at over here? Just quickly, I think it's always important to go over your old analysis. This was an inversion we were looking for. We closed above it, we retested, we ripped up into these equal highs. They were, that high there and that high there. Came back below it, yeah, and ultimately then we've sold off. So that was pretty solid analysis there, actually, I have to say so, on the weekly. Obviously, it just all looks a little bit like noise at the moment because it's a higher time frame read, but this was an area we were looking to hold until we lost it, get back below it, and now we've sold off. Be a good area to target on the run up because we've got that big inefficient move lower. Ultimately, price is just kind of consolidating in this area here at the moment, right? So if we look at this in terms of a volume profile as well, yeah, no retest here. We got a little retest of this here. Let's have a look. If I think it's probably that there, isn't it, actually? From the drop, price came up. Yeah, so either way, I think value area lows here. I think we want to see price back inside this. But I really would kind of be focusing on the price action here, actually. Holding this level, sweat this local low, get back above. I think as long as we hold this, we can push up a little bit. I'd really like to, to buy some more down here, but we don't necessarily get it. So this one, we're very much looking at level to level. Hold this level and above, or sweep this level and reclaim this, something like this. That's when I think we could really move here, but I really would like to see price at least kind of take a jab down into there. What are we on to now? SUI. So let's take a look. Levels here that we were looking at on SUI. So this is what we were looking at before. This was this key consolidation, right? This looks a little bit messy in here, but actually resistance, support, 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 resistance, 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 pop, retest. So support, support, like this area still. I know that's a little bit low. This, all the absorption coming in from the sellers. What happened? Closed above this area, retested it long, got back here, still held. Long downside absorption wicks coming back within the range. Price comes up. Look what happened when we got that close below. Then we got the retest. Price has sold off. All right. So we've got a key low here. We want to see price back above. If not, fear that we're kind of heading down towards this region at least, which is the kind of 3.9457 area. If I take a look at this here on the 4 hour. Again, a little bit similar as before. I think we're looking for price to just get back above this level here. It doesn't mean just because we close above it, we're going to move up. But, when you start seeing this, and just trying to look for a good example, where you look at kind of like a key low or a key high, could be something like this, for example, right? Price comes up. See, it's not a very convincing close here. Small body counter gets back below. Then you see the big pump. Look, ideally, you want to see this kind of retested. But look what happens when it was. Yeah, this area again in here retested. Look at the long that we got off the back of that because it's a key level. But this was the important one. That was the untapped high. Dante, I learned so much from him over the years, right? And I think it's the last high pre-break. I think he focuses more traditional markets on these kind of candles here, but I always look towards the swings, but I always learned that from him. Look at the key liquidity pools here, right? Price closed above that. What do we get when we retest it? We get that beautiful bounce. That's what we're looking for here, right? So we want to see some expansion and price getting back above this because that is a pretty strong close below there, which I don't like. So this, until otherwise, is resistance. That's 4.3897. We expect that to drive price lower unless we disrespect it, get above. And then we're looking at that and saying, okay, maybe that's somewhere that we can look to make a move. It's not particularly clean and it is only on a 4 hour, right? But again, if we look at this, the resistance, resistance, resistance here, price close above support. If we can get ourselves back above this area here as well, I think we can really kind of push up higher. So that's where I am on SUI. What was the next one here? PHA. Wow. Yeah, okay. Not tons of data going on. I know I'm maybe not on one of the exchanges that's had the most, although that's obviously a listing pump right there. On the daily scale, we don't really have a lot to go on here, but what I would say is that was the level capping the market for a while, so that's where I want to see it back above. Gap low within this huge gap, but huge expansion. This was the low, support, support, support. Price closed underneath. Any retest of that is probably for selling until we close back above it on a daily scale. See if we can get some more granularity off the 4 hour, which we can't. I think this low might have cut. Oh, yeah, beautiful. Right, look. What happened? Yes, a long downside wick, so we're a little bit cautious here, but then we're hunting this on well, today, a little bit early in the day, unfortunately, midnight. But let me just show you very quickly this actually as just one example. I know I'm going to rattle on for too long here, but smidgen of a close below that long downside wick would have given the bulls a little bit of hope here. However, we're then looking at this here with a little bit of a mixed bias, but favoring short because we close below. If we get a long setup here, I would long this. If we get a short setup here, I would short it. I'm semi-neutral, but favoring leaning bearish because we close below this low. You want to see the wicks get absorption and close, ideally comfortably above this level. Yeah. So as we dive on to a lower time frame here, like the 15-minute, for example, do I get a long setup here? Now, remember the pattern that I just showed you. This is our key level, right? So what do we want to see when price is engaging with a key level? Well, if we want to go long, we want to see something like this. If we want to go short, however, then you want to see price kind of coming back down below your level here. Yes, you're getting a sweep of that level. The breakdowns of those lows, this area here, are then for selling. Yeah, quite simple pattern, basically the inverse of that. So which one did we get? Yeah, what happened here? Deviation above. What do? Remember, like I taught you, right? You look for the low that swept the high. That's our breaker line. Very, very simple method. What have you got? Liquidity sweep above a key level. Price has broken down, show no respect to this at all. What do? We close below it. We set our limit orders on here, which we tag in beautifully. It doesn't always happen, but, does. Beautiful risk to reward on there. And then we're just looking for our downside targets. All right. Ultimately, I probably would have been a little bit risk averse here. You've got 1R here to this low. Secure your stops here and then leave yourself a runner for lower. All right. I know that doesn't help you at the moment, guys, but I'm just showing you an example of how you can also make execution patterns. And this is all based on how we're closing or respecting these key levels. All right. Also gaps as well. So that is PHA. Now we've got IOTA, TI, IQAI, AVAX, Sol, ZK, RAA, Gardi, Gary, Ondo and Brett left to go. I'm really going to try and get these all done for you. Let me just take a very quick look in case we've got any other questions. Sui's been one of the strongest alts lately. Solid play. Yeah, agreed. I think Sui's been really, really nice. Wow, so 6,200 of you live. Big shout out to all of you. Like I said as well, a bit shilly for me, I know, but please do go and give me a follow if you are interested in this kind of analysis. It's BC_Richfield, and come and follow us over at the Burb Nest as well. You can find all the information down in the description. So, where were we? PHA. So IOTA now. I used to trade the living daylights out of this years ago. Let's have a look where we are. Okay, so interesting. We're on the perp contract here. Let's take a look at the spot contract. Let's take a look at the Binance chart. Our old friends over at Binance, loads of juicy data. Okay, like this level actually. Again, just nice wick here, right? So what do? Find the previous wick here that was resistance, yeah. Close above, retest away, support here as well. So like this level, 0.2544. Looking back, you can see that this has been a real key pivot point for price here. Support all the way through here, resistance all the way through here, support all the way through here again, and just pure resistance here. I don't need to draw a box over that. That line is pretty much spot on the money. Local low coming in here as a gap low. This is actually really interesting here because we can see that what's happened is price has swept out and now rebalanced this gap. Let me just show you the gap very quickly. Bullish gap, right? Now been rebalanced. Lovely jubbly. That's out of the way. Price sweeping this low. As long as we hold this, maybe we push up here. If we don't, then equal lows down here. Again, please do check these. I'm doing them very fast. Maybe they're not entirely equal, but do please check. And then this low, which is back on us. I mean, I love this here. 0.2544. I think that's going to be a key area here within this gap, retesting that high, which offered so much support there, and then this low, smashing into that and recovering, I think would be super bullish. But as long as we hold here, I think we're, could see a slightly earlier stage resurgence here. But do remember that that's local. Now we've dropped down to here. Look at those beautiful equal lows. That's a key target for me. So is this. But as long as we hold above here, I'm not really actively willing to short this. I would need to see price now come back down. So let's say, for example, this. They got 2 hours 44, but let's say we do get the close above here. If we then got back down below this, I'd then be saying, okay, here, then here. All right, intraday spot looking to be a buyer down here, or probably these equal lows. Again, in IOTA, if I've got that backing, if I've got the fundamental analysis on my side as well, then I'm probably happy to accumulate some here as well, because, you know, not all-time high necessarily, but we have got, you know, 113% to that high. So that's quite a nice little spot to be in for that tier. Where are we with our friends here? Oh, right, okie doke. All the old colourful jazz off. Don't really need that anymore. Okay, this is interesting actually, because this is a little bit messier here for me. I think this probably... This isn't the cleanest. This is looking at this purely as a point of, this is obviously a key area of demand. Yeah, buyers, 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 buyers. So again, running into this area, I'd be quite keen to see. This is the low. Actually, I think that low's been swept, which is quite nice. So we've swept that low there and had a decent reaction, meaning that if the buyers are about to step back in here, then this should be the low that we sweep to see a decent bullish reaction here. So down below this, sweep, close back above it. Maybe we look for some early stage longs here. 4 hour, I think, will give us a little bit more granularity. It's just taking some local lows here or some internal lows. So again, we really want to see price reacting at a key liquidity pool. However, if we do get back above this, maybe we get some interim relief here as well. IQAI. Sorry, mate, I'm not able to find that ticker. Whoever it was that recommended IQAI, please do let me know, unless it was just IQ. Oh, maybe. Let's take a look. So immediately I just see these long wicks here, and I'm saying, okay, where do the wicks meet the bodies? Yeah, not bad. A little bit messy down here, but kind of as an overall idea, I think as an area, I think that's probably a pretty good place here. You know, want to see these lows probably come into, maybe this low here or this low. But again, let's focus on what we've got immediately below us, which is that one. Yeah, yes, we're in this kind of demand area here, but I still want to see key lows run. So run of this back above, I think we could look at some longs here, closing in below this, and also these lows here. Then this, I think, around about 0.006180 is probably pretty nailed on at that point. Oh, AVAX. A wonderful, wonderful AVAX. Let's get a nice clean chart for you, shall we, AVAX, you beauty? Here we go. So, where are we here? Well, we're nicely in this consolidation here, actually, for AVAX. Again, not the cleanest in the world, but I try and always fix these levels to either a wick or bodies, right? And I quite like this because, look, resistance all the way through here, small close, but then that retest led to that massive pump. We can see that it offered support through here as well. But again, it's not as much of a line. No real confidence there, so it's a lot more local. Not so much of a line, but I think quite tricky here, actually. If I was looking at this kind of more locally, I'd just embody these wicks. And I'd say, okay, start to sweep this low and recover this area, but especially this line, I think we move up. If not, then these lows down here, about 30.64, definitely come into play for AVAX. We can see quite a swift move below here. Let's draw that across. Liking that low as an early stage resurgence, all right? You know, dip back below a bit, but we're quickly recovering this. We get back below this level, I think we go down lower. If not, then this is the area in and around here, especially the line that we're looking for price to do this. Yeah, unless we do something like this. Yeah, we look for that liquidity sweep and then our pattern where we sweep the low, get back and close above the high, and then we can look to go long here, knowing we're wrong if price comes back below that low. So again, I know a lot of these are looking similar, guys, but I suppose it's helping us get through them quite quickly, bearing in mind we're also 20 minutes over the allotted show at the moment, but that's all right. Loads of you staying with us, which is wonderful. Let's go to our friends Buy a bit as well. Our awesome crew over there. Just take a very quick look at the chart quickly. Sorry, the set. Do you want a unique mathematical approach to support and resistance? I mean, I'm always up for learning stuff, DCA champion. to be honest, mate. Please, by all means, feel free to hit me up with it over at the Bird Nest or on Twitter. Anthony, good session. One question: did you make more last year than 2 years ago? No, I'm pretty consistent earnings actually. For me, I'm not the greatest investor when it comes to crypto. Like I said, I'm much more of a traditional market price action trader, right? So for me, it was much more about holding consistency. Was very, very profitable last year, was very profitable the year before, kind of cut my teeth many, many years ago in bear markets. So range trading for me is always pretty good. Do work for proprietary firms as well. So I manage a lot of money through those. This year I promised myself I'd be a better investor in this bull market, and kind of went well and then kind of didn't go as great. And I'm kind of, by investor, I mean, spot and hold. So all I've done is kind of find the assets that I have interest in, and then I'm looking to hold them and just show some conviction. So I haven't really sold a lot of plays, which means that I was a little bit probably not as switched on as I should have been with taking some profit, but I'm happy to kind of hold those bags. I make most of my money as an intraday trader anyway. But good question, Anthony. Horace, would you mind sharing your thoughts on EGLD? I'll see if I can squeeze that in at the end, mate. Depends if I stop talking. Right, okay, here we go. EGLD. Daniel, you're very welcome, mate. Therapy with Rucky. Wonderful. I definitely need some therapy, actually. Or more some physical therapy. I think the amount of chart time we put in over there. So let's rip through, shall we? Let's take a look at Sol. Well, here's our levels that we were looking at previously, right? So this one's already been continued up for us. Again, look at these key highs and lows. Key low, what happened? Close below it, retest, sell off, got back above it. Yeah, never got that retest, but what happened, right? We then moved on to this high here. Beautiful retest of that, all right, and they were equal highs as well. So before we look too much on the internal stuff, let's look at this. This was the next key low that was supporting price all the way through, and now as we look at it on the daily, we've failed that support. At the moment, we need to wait for the close. What I'd love to see, where I'd get super bullish on Solana, and I'm a big holder of Sol as well, right, is this is the move I want to see. If this candle comes down here, taking out this low, when we get back above this level here, then I'm looking to add here, and I would also consider some leverage trades higher at this point as well. Start closing below this level here, and then we're looking for this kind of level in and around here to come into play. Again, it's not actually the cleanest here from Solana. If I'm looking at it as a high, that doesn't really embody everything, right? So I'd probably look at it more like this. Little deviation of that, but we got back above it and then moved higher. I think since we reclaimed this level, we haven't kind of retested it again here. So that's kind of a key level here, I think, for Sol. Get back below here, and I think we come down to here, which ends in around 165.09 on the 4 hour. Look how well we're holding this. This is the kind of stuff I want to see. I like that move there from Sol. Yeah, I think, I can't remember, it might have been Pitt or one of the team put a Solana call out this morning, I think. Brilliant call. I really like that. Held that low beautifully, right? Literally tagged it. And now we've climbed back above it here. Again, I'm not saying you should do this, right? But for me, I'd be looking at this and I'd be saying local sweep here. Here's the high that swept the low. Close above this high, retest this, and I think we could move up from here. That's an absolute bread and butter pattern for me. But I know most people here, we're looking at this, in terms of a longer term hold, definitely a buyer here. In fact, probably close this show and go and add a little bit more Solana here as well. Not suggesting you do the same, but for me, I think this is probably a decent level just in case we do turn and run hot. But this consolidation here that led to this massive pump is overlaid with our support level, which is absolutely key. Right, but about 6 to go, right? ZK next. Bear with me a second, guys. Let me just check something quickly. Just want to check that my technical team aren't behind me telling me I need to be off this show to clear it for someone else. No, not that I can see. So let's crush on. Why the hell not? All right. Like this area, though. I like this area quite a bit, actually. Maybe it's a little bit broad here. Probably tuck that in a little bit to that, I would say, actually. Yeah, that's really nice. Okay, moving this back, a little bit of confluence through here as well. Okay, really, really, really nice, right? Big expansion, support, lose the area, retest away, move this area, big pump, this area, big pump. This is where I'm interested in ZK. But again, this is the local low that we're looking at on ZK on the daily. which it looks to be recovering quite nicely at 0.1659. Hold that area, maybe we push up a little bit. I'd be a little bit concerned here. I'd want to bring the kind of Fibonacci back into play here. These gaps here, just above the 50%, could see price moving kind of into this area here. What else have we got in this area? Again, it's not the cleanest, but actually, you know, if we kind of look at this, close above, support through here, close below, deviation, retest, sell-off, holds this, deviation here, right in the golden pocket. I think that's ripe for shorting that if we do get a real pump into this, or we reclaim this area, yeah, pump into this, show some weakness here, break down. That's where we can get involved here. Or we do the opposite, really look like launch above this, look for that sweep, that market structure shift, and then look to be buyers. Just think that that's really, really clean. I know that's a little way off, but definitely worth mentioning. While we hold this, I think we could definitely push up gaps up here in and around 0.1899, or probably 1903. Sorry, are probably the key first target. Looking for around about a 50% retracement. Again, as long as we hold this, much more interesting price sweeping out this low, which is in the key consolidation, key support level. Then I think we can boom from there. Let's have a look at RAI. We'll always think of my brother Pitt with this one. Obviously not a lot of data on there, so we're focusing on the 4 hour here. But this, again, is at a good level. Yeah, like this level here. That was a really nice little pivot point for me here as well, right? Look, wick, support, support, resistance, resistance, support all the way through here. Got back below, and then you see the wicks just getting absorbed here and price ultimately pushing lower. I like RAI here, actually. And also the other thing that we've done here is we've now retested this, which is really key. I like that. And that's a good area, actually, for RAI. I'm going to add some today. Again, not financial advice. Start breaking down and holding down below this. I think we come back down to the 4s. And I do, you know, even though I was rubbish at taking profit on this one, you know, Pitt got us in down here. $4 here. I think I was in at 5.2. He was in from down here somewhere. So that was really good. But again, I think good project. AI narrative, I think, is going to run really, really hot again. So good place to accumulate some here. Again, in my opinion, just wanted to show you that one. Gary. Let's have a look at Gaz. What's Gaz up to? Have a look on Gary, shall we? On thingy. Oh, okay. So maybe. Maybe on crypto.com. No, just a little bit of liquid, guys. That's the only reason I'm looking for this. So let's take a look at the Kraken one. I think we're just going to have to keep this probably to the daily. Okie doke. Get me back above here, and I'd buy this to the highs. Hold above here, and price is just stuck in this range, isn't it? Yeah. So good place for buyers, good place for sells. That's basically the long and short of how I would look at that. Apologies if that was really quick. Just pop that back on there in case there is some latency. Good buying area, good selling area. Until then, we're just ping-ponging around in there, I think. Ondo, almost half an hour over. So I hope I'm not stitching anybody else up on the show. I wonder, we can see that it came into our level nicely, right? 1.13601. Again, a little bit of a pivot point here if we look at it. So a decent support area here. If we draw that back, do we have any confluence? Yeah, not bad. Support, 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 support. Lose it, resistance, boom. So yeah, hold this above here. I think again we could look to long this. I wouldn't want to short this certainly without being a strong close below here, and then I'd still look for that area to be retested before I jump in. And I don't really have anything more to add to that on the 4 hour. Same thing, really very balanced price action. Good grind up through here. Broke above retest, big pop. If the big buyers were there before, expect them to step in again. God, that was a really good power of 3. Consolidation, manipulation, expansion. All right. Okie doke. So on Brett and the E-Gold, and then we're done, yeah? Almost did it in the 30 minutes. Decent here, actually. If I look at all the data from back here, maybe a little bit of a deviation here. Something like that. Resistance. support all the way through here, resistance, deviation, retest, sell-off, break above, retest, buys. Good area, good area. Okay, so if we look at that now here and we draw this in across here, that's where we want to see price getting back above. That's 0.10928. Get back above here, confirm this area of support, and I think we can move a little bit higher. 4 hour kind of adding us any confluence in here, is it? Well, we've got this. Was the candle that rebalanced this low here. Not insignificant here. Again, just looking at it from a more granular perspective. You can see that this level has confluence further back as well, right? Good support through here, resistance all the way through here, acted as support, underside retest here and sold off. So I quite like that. It's also, look, I'm going to drag it back here because the key thing for me here is this swing low. But you can see that there's been a lot of action in around this level. So hold this level is step number 1. Back above this level is step number 2. And then I think we run these higher, start breaking down below these and, you know, this consolidation, but especially this one here starting around 0.08080 is the key level that I'm looking for there. And e-gold. Guy Scott Melker, actually, really nice guy. I've heard him come in with some criticism over the years, and that I don't think he's really a shiller. Runs an amazing newsletter, good friend of Adrian's, good friend of the Nest. But I always remember seeing him. He was such an early stage adopter of e-gold and just refused to sell it in the last end of the last bull market, and you know, just was all completely honest about it. I don't know why he came in for stick for it, but I thought he was very brave in the way that he was very honest about that. But he was a massive adopter of that, and I mean, he had a lot. So consolidation coming in here, pivot point here. So I'm looking here for the kind of nothing that clean here. So let's do it as a line. Where's the abnormal wicks here? Yeah, that's okay, isn't it? You can see that there's some confluence in price, resistance, a little bit of support, probably a little bit below that. I think, again, if it's not crazy clear, then the chances are it's more a box than a line. So if we move it down to something like this, does that help? Yeah, a little bit messy, to be honest. These moves aren't the biggest off of this. That's not the worst, actually, because if we look in here, we've got these kind of key levels. Yeah, we got this little deviation above here. All right. So what happened here? Strong buyers stepping in. Dante always used to say, look for violence when the level's engaged with. Now, this is a bit messy, but price is being held here. We deviated, came underneath, retest, then got a good sell-off. We then broke back above this level and the buyers stepped in here. So this is an area that I'll be watching along with this low. All right, which is at 29.56. Run that, dip into here, recover it, and I think then it could be game back on for here. Now, remember, there is a chance that we're kind of going to slip into a little bit of some choppiness coming in, especially after these big dumps. Pricing kind of come up, come back down. Don't over leverage yourselves. Don't get yourself hurt in these market conditions, okay? Oh, that's a nice level, actually, on the 4 hour, kind of ish. Reconvincing myself here, but just looking at this as a point of more, you know, key support through here until it was lost. Now that's become key resistance. I think we get back above this. This thin move down here can be retraced incredibly quickly. And then I'd be looking for price to come in here to this untested high, these untested low, sorry, and then this untapped high around here. And we can see actually it's a little bit of a kind of pivot play here as well. Like that. All right, so that's kind of an interim area, but I think run that, and I think we could run up to there pretty well. All right, guys, look, I think that is, I think that's about it, mate. Oh, one question on here as well. Let's have a look. XDMA that's sent. You're better off. I do not. My DMs are private on X. Sounds like a really twattish thing to say, but I really do get a lot of contact. So if you think about me with an account my size, imagine how much some of the big people on there get as well. But just comment, mate, if you can, please, in just on one of my posts, and then I'm much more likely to see it. And then Anthony Zane TAO bounce, nice. Can you explain to me what it means when other people go short and then the market flips to go bullish? The stop order would be a buy order. You explain what that on a dummy weight? Yeah, sure. Okay, really quick. Super simple, right? So let's do this. Let's just well, I mean, this is pretty clean actually, right? Let's use this as an example, live example. So what happens? Why do we think? Because it's very counterintuitive. So think about it like this. These levels here, right? Now, the people that were long here, yeah, so people are long here, and then they're saying, okay, you stop loss under, say, this swing low, just for example, yeah. So people come in long here, this is where it goes in, right? And then people maybe go long here as well, stops below these lows here, and they're all targeting highs. Ultimately, this one fails. What actually happens is most investors, even in crypto, are doing this on a much higher time frame. So, weekly, monthly, etc., especially daily. So what happens is a lot of people will hold through big periods of drawdown. So what does that mean? Well, that means the people that were long in here, when price comes back to this area here, they're not having a hard stop. So their stop loss isn't hard. It just goes on. And then what they're hoping for is price kind of comes back in and around this area. Let's just, for a kind of cleaner example, say people were long from here. Why? Because this is our key support level, right? So these people don't have hard stops. So what happens is people that are long from here, when they then lose this area, they're then waiting for price to get back to these areas here to mitigate. That means that they can then close that position out for as little loss, or ideally break even, as possible. What then that happens is that then can mean that they will then look to flip and move in the other direction. Now, when we're talking about levels, yeah, so let's use this for an example because it's very clean. Just going to do this a little bit wider. Right, so people that were short here, stops above here, when those hard stops get triggered, they become a market buy order. That means that the market, because they were short, their stop loss is a buy order, that means the market pukes. And it's a very good term. I know it sounds a bit disgusting, but the market pukes those orders back in. A limit order, you get to pick your specific price. Market order, you get filled at the nearest price that's available. So what happens? People's stop loss get triggered. That creates a load of buy orders here. So why doesn't that send the market up? Because institutional investors, major players, and that know to target these areas, and they take all that buying liquidity and fill it with their sell orders. Why? Because they are investing big dollar, right? And what that means is they need these key areas of liquidity. Otherwise, if they wait for confirmation and they try to short with massive size, they get slippage all the way down, and it kills their risk to reward. All right, better to wait for these predetermined areas of support and resistance that people they know will be targeting, retail traders will be targeting, other funds will be targeting. Force the money up, create these swing failure patterns, take the liquidity, use those huge areas of buy orders. Let's imagine you've got hundreds of millions in buy orders. Well, you can get your orders filled pretty much within this area, definitely, but pretty much to what you want. And then you see these huge moves to the downside, right? So the opposite is true of this. So market people that were, in here, price gets down and takes out these stop losses below here. What do these become? Yeah, those stop losses were taken down here. Well, they become market sell orders, right? Yeah, so the market pukes the sell orders in. So what happens? The big players can step in and buy up all that liquidity, and that sends the market in the opposite direction. Right. I hope that's been clear. And if it wasn't, mate, please do reach out to me and I will cover those bits and pieces for you at the Nest. Almost 7,000 people live today, guys. I think that's, in truth, I think it's probably the most amount of people I've ever had on a live show. So thank you all very much. I hope it's been useful. I know we've rattled on for an hour and 40 minutes, or I've rattled on for an hour and 40 minutes. I hope it has been of some help. Please do be patient. Remember, links are in the description. If any of you want to come along and work with us, be part of the community over there. It's very accessible. If not, please do reach out to me on Twitter, and I'll be live again on Wednesday for you at midday UTC. Have a fantastic day and week ahead. I look forward to seeing you all very soon.